red button and put it on recording. My name is Adekunle Adejumo. Let's get started this morning with looking at some reflections. And under reflections this morning, there is something you should cherish, and I do cherish it as well. That's the responsibility to duties. When people understand the enormous tax placed in their hands and on their decks, and they tend to respond to it with the same energy, you have to appreciate them, especially when it defies that convention of cases being swept under the very traditional carpet. And that particularly speaks to the work and statement that the Inspector General of Police had recently given, talking about Olatunji Disu, IG, and the concerns around Lagos State, the satellite area, where some police officers were visibly seen on excerpt and filmed harassing young people and searching their properties without, the appropriate means, taking them to a secluded area to do so. And he has come out to say that those set of persons have actually reported to Abuja with their divisional police head and as well orders from other parts of the state, and they are going to be questioned adequately. In fact, they were captured on camera being available in Abuja to report themselves, and that's what responsible policing is. I'd allow you to take a listen to the other aspect of these critical development that the IG has made mention of, just so he can, help in safeguarding the lives and properties of Nigerians.
From satellite, and I give you here with him as I speak with you, we were shown on Twitter harassing some young men. So to find them, the outcome will be made public. Because we need to let members of the public know what to do when a police officer do what is not expected of them. So that we can hand the trust of the people. The usual belief is we don't do anything about it. We do not tell them how to do something wrong, and I can tell you that I cannot stop all the policemen from going against the law once in a while. After all, even Jesus Christ has 12 disciples and had Judas to contend with. So calculate I have that line mathematics. Calculate 7, the 12 that Jesus Christ had, and the number of police officers I have. But the most important thing is for the public to see our effort in correcting all the wrongs these officers can do at any time.
I like the fact that there's an acknowledgement, and not to say they are not our boys, we don't know them. Policing is beginning to grow with some level of sensitivity, and kudos to IG or Olatunji Disu have not still been able to actually relieve that moment of you being a CP in Rivers State, so sometimes it may want to sleep. Kudos to you. Let's also see the same effort being deployed in, critically dismantling some checkpoints and making sure that we secure Nigerians the right way. Would that be it on the reflections this morning? Let's look through the tabs. Okay, I heard Excel earlier lament about the situation of cleanliness in Rivers State, and Ikwere Road always takes first. If Ikwere Road was to be a classroom, it will be taken first, for one of the most untidy road, and where you have the dirt flying in your face, and it greets you on a daily basis because there's no proper means of actually tracking and disposing waste around that area. So, but let's bring it home and closer. Governor Simenalaye Fubara, good morning to you. I want to believe you're doing well, and I want to believe you're not stressed from the multiple events you had to attend over the weekend. Yes, Rivers people may have dragged you for not appearing at one of them earliest enough, but do not get afraid. The generator that gets dragged the most is the one that would likely bring on electricity. So, Your Excellency, please do not forget that there's a need for us to reintroduce the monthly environmental sanitation. I mean, I can work with you on this one as your self-appointed advisor on matters that could cause trouble in Rivers State. So let's make sure we get that going and see how we can ramp up things in the agricultural sector and employ the teeming youthful population that are wasting on the streets. Your Excellency, with these few points of mine, I hope I've not been able to confuse you, but to convince you that there's a need for River State to move forward beyond the elections. And that's it on the reflections this morning. Remember, the reflections are not up for conversation. Let's get into our talking point on Real Talk this morning. You know, when you encounter something that sounds almost difficult to believe, it is because it is happening right in front of your eyes. It's like a reality that flashes before you. That's what we say, right? So when you have things that scare you, stories that sounds like film scenes but actually happened, you get scared for many reasons. So a story developed about a fabric merchant, a woman who deals in fabric, and she sells premium lace materials, but something happened and it's more than strange because it actually shocked her. What she discovered or uncovered was actually a theft inside her own business. And the result of it is that one of our staff members was caught after several bundles of expensive fabrics went missing from her storehouse. When he was confronted, he was found surrounded by dozens of rolls of lace materials valued in millions of naira. You know how some of those people who deal in fabrics, when they grown big to an extent, you have a packing store that you keep some materials in case the demands are not yet coming, or you are projecting that demands will come at a certain point, so you buy and stock. Yes, so sometimes putting inventory in place is another thing that you may not have been able to do at that point, or the person who's actually in charge of inventory may be your problem. So, but the idea is this: there's always a stock. And because it's actually a money-making Monday, it's important we talk about this particular situation. Now, when you stock those things, you suddenly realize that they begin to disappear. Even when you have employees working for you. And this brings to mind a very critical question. How do you as a business owner survive when the people who work for you begin to steal you? You discover that before now, those convenience stores, the one we call provision stores, when a person opens a mega type of business in that nature, they get to employ people to run it for them. But these days, that practice is dropping because of trust. And because such businesses, it's even hard to track sales, especially when you're not running it as a supermarket. So in this woman's case, we're not talking about some ordinary clothes here. These are high-end Swiss dry lace, cord lace materials, fabrics that, you know, they are highly prized in the fashion industry. And from estimation and findings, some of them actually say like a single 5-yard bundle of that material can cost from anywhere around 35,000 naira to over 150,000 naira. You know, it's all informed by the design, the embroidery, and the quality. So in this scenario, the said employee had actually stolen dozens of it. And when the merchant decided to take a closer look at her stock, she discovered that the thing was just disappearing, one after the other. Everything was just dwindling. And so she confronted the said young man. And this is actually what transpired during that confrontation.
So everyone, this is one of my house. I'm very very intelligent. very hardworking. But if you stand like this, basically, you will see. I'm giving you segment. Okay, so now, this set of this cream in the market is not like 8,000, 10,000. I pre-ordered this. Look at the quality. This is worth like 18,000 naira per pack. And our Gami Woko. Look at his face very well. Screenshot his face. If he comes to you for a job and it just happens for you, you think that you have landed a dead over. You have landed the person that is going to take your life. They are part of the reason why I've been doing the contesting, the crossing.
And that's the frustration you face in your business, because from small to medium scale businesses as we speak, if anybody brings the idea of hiring someone to you, you would run away from it. In fact, you prefer to do your business alone. I remember when POS operation was yet to boom into what it is now. People would hire people to do it for them, but these days you hire and the person can even disappear with your money. And that's the same thing in many Nigerian businesses, especially those that do retail operations. The employers usually rely on staff to manage stock, sales, and storage. However, the problem that comes there is when the same people you entrust with protecting your livelihood, when they turn to be the source of the losses that you encounter. And this morning, it's quite, disturbing to know that this is not just about lace that have been stolen, but how vulnerable small businesses have become today, how the trust in people is fast fading. Even though some people do inventory checks and documentation, some even go to the extent of planting CCTV cameras for surveillance and all that. Yet, these set of persons who are not very patient with life, they still find a way to exploit the business. It raises a lot of questions, many questions, such as how many business owners are even truly tracking their stocks closely? If you own a business, do you track? Some people, some of you, what you rely on is verbal or informal updates from the person that you put there because you believe you trust them so much. That currency, trust, is just the only thing that is being spent here. Oh, I trust this person, so I don't have to get to the shop. All they have to do is to call me. If there's a need to restock, we restock. Whether the money matches or not, some people do not really care. And so when we talk about trust in business and trusting the people who work for you, yes, it's important, but there's also the part of this trust when it's not properly checked. It can cost you so much that even by the time you realize, your business may be nosediving, and that would bring a serious question to how you can actually stand. I'd ask you a simple question this morning. How vulnerable do you think, businesses in Nigeria today are to theft from within the same workforce, the same people that you trust? Have you encountered such situation before when the person that you took in as your employee is the same person that is fleecing you and constantly making away with what is supposed to be the earnings that would help the business develop? These are some of the critical questions to ask this morning. You can be a part of the conversation. It's Real Talk on WAVE 91.7 FM, and to do that, the number to call is 070-4000-1783. You can also call 090-229-17917, and we have 0908-185-5966. How do we handle these menaces and the issue of trust in businesses? My name is Adekunle Adejumo. We'll go on a short break. When